The concept is simple. If you want big visuals, you gotta have a big budget. Or do you? What Jon Favreau did in The Mandalorian holds a surprising answer to this. It's no secret that the budget of many blockbuster movies these days is shockingly large. One easy way to blow through a budget is by trying to create battle scenes filled with dozens or hundreds of extras. In some cases, even thousands. One of the most extreme examples in film history is Waterloo from 1970, an epic that spared no expense, utilizing 15,000 extras from the Soviet Army, as well as 2,000 cavalrymen to fill the battlefields in a time when CGI could not be of assistance. Getting big visuals without breaking the bank is a problem for both large and small budget filmmakers, but smaller filmmakers feel this the most where budgets are tight and every dollar has to be accounted for. This is especially true when the big visuals involve hordes of period or screen-accurate costumes which require either rental or meticulous custom craftsmanship. Frequently, in the interest of saving time and effort, corners are cut with historical detail in favor of what looks best, or just what's cheapest and visually passable or trendy. This is where Jon Favreau comes in. Jon Favreau has helmed some of the most iconic film properties of the last couple decades as a visionary whose film innovation is, in some ways, vaguely reminiscent of George Lucas. But what if I told you that all of this costs $0? Well, much of this. And by this, I mean quite a number of these stormtroopers. While Disney, of course, had to feed these actors and likely pay for some transportation and a small collection of other things, the cost of many of these actors, along with their detailed, screen-accurate armor, was $0. How is this? Jon Favreau was running short on stormtroopers to fill in the scene. He wanted it to look as visually impressive for this final episode as possible, but their budget could only reach so far in getting people into screen-accurate costumes. He explained the idea that popped into his head.
And we were around the big table thumbing through the script, and we're like, how many stormtroopers did you get? And they're like, well, we got like, what was it, like 30?
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
It was a lot. I was like, this, like, it sounded good when we
but
planned it long ago.
we had maxed out the costumes too, because
That's what it was.
All the costumes.
It was the costumes.
Yeah.
We know I knew that, like, George Lucas, when he would do like an appearance or something, he could call up the 500 first and he could have like 100 stormtroopers show up for an event.
Yeah, easily.
And we're like, could we call them? He's like, he knows them all.
So they reached out to dozens of 501st Legion members who flew out to be part of what they suspected was some charity event.
They do on their own a lot of visits to hospitals, do a lot of charity things. They do a wide array of things, and they are called often to represent for the company at public appearances related to Star Wars.
So Lucasfilm will call them up for, like, if they're at a convention or an appearance, or there's a parade or something where they want background stormtroopers, they know that they're...
But not a movie.
Yeah.
So they show up not knowing where they're going, and they literally are driving them right into the middle of the set in front of camera, and they were realizing that they're going to be in the show.
In their armor that they made themselves.
We're all kind of like, this is real. I think all of us kind of started crying a little bit. It's a good thing we wear helmets because nobody could see us cry.
These 501st Legion members were obviously already passionate about the craft and the role, so they didn't have to be coached on how stormtroopers operate or move, and their armor was all meticulously custom fitted and ensured for screen accuracy. So what is our answer for bigger visuals on a slimmer budget? Reenactment groups.
Fell & Fair is a costume design and production studio in Greenville, South Carolina, and for over a decade we've worked on films, reenactments, cosplays, LARPs, kind of anything that touches historical costuming. And the great thing is that's given us a lot of expertise in a lot of these various eras. It's also given us this awesome volunteer base where when we do our films, we can get dozens of actors or volunteers from either our reenactment or LARP communities that have they've swung the sword before, they fought in a battle line, they understand how that works. I remember a lot of when we were doing Revolutionary War reenacting, a lot of the people in our regiment were in the Patriot, and many of them were in there as actors, but a lot of what they did was the training. They trained the British soldiers in drill and marching and that sort of thing. So reenactors are not just an asset from what they can bring with their kit, but also with their knowledge and their expertise. They can save you a lot of trouble.
It would cost filmmakers a fortune to achieve the level of detail, historical knowledge, and craftsmanship that reenactors bring to their roles and costumes. The Mandalorian is far from the only example. Others have been even more impressive in scope and scale. Ed Zwick's 1989 historical war epic, Glory, is about as memorable and moving as war epics can get. and garnered 3 Oscars, including Denzel Washington's first Oscar as Best Supporting Actor. But the way Zwick got the movie funded would become an early example of the modern-day proof of concept. In his memoir, he explains that, in order to sell this ambitious project to the studio, he grabbed some of his friends and headed to the 125th anniversary reenactment of Gettysburg, which would include some 20,000 reenactors. The footage he gathered from this event he cut together into a 7-minute reel to help sell the idea of the film to the studio. The studio heads were wowed. They approved the project, and pieces of this footage were eventually used in the final film. Some of the reenactors Zwick met at the event became extras in the movie, and of the other extras in Glory, Zwick said that most of them were reenactors who were committed to the historical importance of the project, and that he and the other lead actors came to rely on them as crucial sources of information on the language, manners, and fighting techniques of the time. Their use of reenactors not only contributed to the historical authenticity of the film, it helped keep the budget to a mere $18 million, despite the number of large battle scenes. But Glory was soon to be followed by another Civil War epic that also relied on reenactors to pull off otherwise budget-busting battle scenes.
Yeah, 44th New York and 16th Michigan will be moving in to our right, but if you will look to our left, you will see that there is no one there. Because we're the end of the line. The Union Army stops here. We are the flank. You understand, gentlemen? We cannot retreat. We cannot withdraw. We are going to have to be stubborn today.
At the same 1988 Gettysburg reenactment Ed Zwick attended, another director, Ron Maxwell, was also being inspired. The sight of so many thousands of reenactors convinced him that the 1993 Civil War epic, simply titled Gettysburg, could and should be shot on location with reenactors. So they put the call out, and reenactors arrived from all over the country, providing them with thousands of period-accurate troops for scenes. Although the studio provided food and other various forms of thanks and souvenirs, these extras were largely unpaid volunteers, even providing their own transportation to the location, as they were so eager to be part of a monumental piece of historical portrayal. But Civil War groups are, of course, far from the only resource one can draw from.
The Yeoman Street Guard, it represents the Roman Imperial Army of the 1st century AD, and it has legionaries, auxiliary troops, cavalry, artillery, and a camp scene. I mean, the Yeoman Street Guard has been involved in a lot of filming in its time, and it's certainly something we look to do. We've worked with the Discovery Channel, BBC, ITV, things like that. We have done some drama filming. We've appeared on an episode of Doctor Who, of all things, where the Doctor, this time-travelling adventurer, he went back into the Roman era there.
Ancient Rome!
We also took part in the pre-production for Gladiator. We had a man come along who was part of the production team to come along, and he wanted to see what the Romans looked like, how they marched, how they sounded, the machines they used. But we, whilst we were invited to take part in the filming, in the end, as a group, we didn't do that. We are only too happy to take part in drama and documentary filming, but we are a voluntary organisation, so we do need a bit of notice, and we do want to use our kit, and we want to keep it as authentic as possible. So we wouldn't want to just put on leather armour. We wouldn't do that. We will bring our own kit, and we'll show it how it's used to the best of our ability.
With this perspective, one can't help but see the costumes in modestly budgeted movies and shows, and even more lavishly budgeted ones, and think how beneficial it would have been if they'd been able to get committed reenactors onto the project. All of these examples show us that for creators and filmmakers everywhere, achieving something with a bit of spectacle that far outpaces its budget is easily within grasp. There's also a solid reminder for anyone that does collaborate with reenactment groups.
Very often when reenactors or cosplayers or LARPers are part of a film and you're doing it either for little or no cost, there's a lot of fun getting out there, putting on your stuff and doing it on film. But as the filmmaker, you have an obligation to produce a really good film because of that. The one thing that I would say that you can really do for the people that are volunteering on your film is make sure that you do your side once they've done their side. So if they show up and if they're in a cool costume and they make your production more awesome, then make sure it gets across the finish line. Also, give them food.
It's good.
Really?
Ultimately, you probably won't be making the next Endgame on a scrappy micro-budget, but the value and expertise reenactors and cosplayers of all types can bring to a production cannot be underestimated. If you're planning a film with any amount of visual spectacle in the form of a battle or other crowd-heavy scenes, you could either have this, or you could have this.
Stormtroopers?
All you have to do is ask.